Mother, it's a father, it's a son, it's a daughter.
The last time Arizona saw nearly as many people die on the state's roadways was 17 years ago.
Traffic fatalities have gone up for the third year in a row. And in fact, they are the second highest we've ever seen, trailing only 2006 when there were slightly more than 1,300. We're just behind that.
1,294 people died on Arizona's roads last year, an 8.6% increase from 2021.
There are more fatalities on local streets than highways. However, fatalities last year on local streets were up, and fatalities on state highways were relatively level.
Every time it happens, you always have to remember it's a family member or someone that passed away, and it's absolutely tragic.
Pedestrian, bicyclist, and motorcyclist deaths all increased last year. So what does ADOT say is driving the increase in deaths? People speeding. A problem personal injury attorney Nasir Abujbara says exploded since the pandemic.
We all got used to the roads being a little less busy, right, because of the pandemic and everything else. And I think it changed certain behaviors in people. People just got a little too reckless and feeling like they could get away with it because there was no one on the road.
In 2022, Phillips Law retained 946 different auto personal injury claims. Of those, he says 74 were auto deaths, much higher than historical data, according to Abujbara.
Unfortunately, at Phillips Law Group, we probably get 1 or 2 of these type of cases a week, which is just 1 or 2 too many for them.
Now, overall, the number of people not using a seatbelt or helmet has slightly gone down in 2022, and then alcohol-related crashes were also down. We have that full report on our AZ Family app and website. Reporting live in Phoenix tonight, Alexis Dominguez for Arizona's Family.
Alexis, thank you.